Hello everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Bookbird, and in this reading vlog I'm going to be doing the same style where everyone is trying to read through their physical reads and do a read or unhaul it type challenge, I guess, with their reads. For this specific vlog, I am going to be letting Libby choose which books I'm going to get through on my shelves. So I went through all the Libby audiobook holds that I currently have suspended that were either available soon or within 2 weeks of being available to me. I unsuspended every single one, and I'm gonna let Libby choose 3 books for me to read, and we'll see if I end up liking them and keeping them on my shelves. Sit back and enjoy this reading vlog. Okay, so I have my first 2 books already. The current one I'm working on is the second book in this series by V.E. Schwab. So I'm on A Gathering of Shadows. I can't remember what the series is called. You know, it'd be helpful if they kind of listed the series name on the actual books. I don't know. I'll put whatever the series is on the screen for you. I'm currently working through this with the audiobook and enjoying it. I read the first book and there's been a long gap between picking up the second book, but I'm not having too much trouble like with the refreshers that it's giving, that I still understand what's going on. I really enjoyed the first book, and I'm definitely enjoying the second book and how fast-paced it is and the character interactions, and I still love Delilah Bard as a character. So that's this one, but Libby has chosen the second book already, so once I have completed this book, then I can move on to, I have the Broken Binding edition of Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence, and this is the next book that Libby picked for me. I obviously swapped the cover because I actually liked the original cover versus the cover redo that Broken Binding did, but most of these I don't even read while reading. I don't keep this on. Oh, there's the sprayed edges. Sprayed edges are beautiful. But so this is the next one that Libby picked for me. So we're gonna be getting one of my special editions read, so I can decide if I want to keep it. An update to what Libby chose for me. After the Fall just came available to borrow, so I did suspend everything else since I got a 3rd pick. So we will have a pretty good stack over here. But let me give you a short update on The Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I neglected to really tell you kind of the basic magic for this world and like a basic synopsis because this is the second book, so I didn't want to talk too spoilery about it, but just to give you a simple idea of what this magic world is. Basically, there are different versions of England, specifically London, and they're represented by colors. And so black, white, red, and gray. And currently we only have 3 because the Black London has been destroyed. And so Kel is our main protagonist character in this series. And he is an adopted brother into a royal family, and he is the only mage able to travel between these worlds. He's given that special privilege to do that. That's his job as basically emissary to the king and queen of London. And so it details his travels through these worlds. And the first book, he runs into a lot of problems within that, running into some evil characters from a different version of London and having to deal with that. In this book, we have sort of a magical games aspect to it, and so I'm really enjoying that we're going to get into. I just stopped before they're kind of getting into the actual competition of these wizards, mages. So I'm really enjoying this one, and it's actually kind of weird because all the books right now that I'm picking up have been related to some form of competition, trial, or games. But I'm still not bored with it. I actually am liking probably this one the most out of the books I've picked up so far of the trials and games. So we'll see once we get into the actual competition how I feel. But for now, that's where I am, and really enjoying this book. It's very fast-paced. The audiobook is great because it's read by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. People will know them from the Stormlight Archive series because they are the audiobook narrators for that. So it was a little, because Kate reads for Delilah Bard in this, and it's really kind of hard to differentiate how she portrays Lift in the Stormlight Archive series from Delilah, even though Delilah is slightly different, and the magic, there's too many differences between those two, but it's just to hear it, it's really hard to break away from that image in my head of Lift. But I'm expecting a Spren to appear out of nowhere. But so far, that's really the only issue I've had with the audiobook, and that's not really because they're bad at doing the voices and stuff. It's just I have an association already with their voices, so I'm enjoying the audiobook, but it's also like I'm seeing the similarities and how they do their basically voice acting for the narration. But I am enjoying it on audiobook, so if you're an audiobook person and you would want to pick this up, now you know who reads the second book. I don't think the first book had them, but I could be wrong. It's just been so long since I tandem read the first book. But that's my update for now, and now we have our complete set of books that we will be reading for this vlog. So I We'll leave timestamps if you're interested in specific ones, and let's continue the vlog.
If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with
Alright, so it is now approximately a week later. I was working on a different vlog that should be up now. I didn't get to the books right away, but I am happy to report over the weekend, it is now Monday, I have finished A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This book for me, I think, has that middle book syndrome where the plot of these games happening, the magical games that I mentioned, isn't really the focus of this one, and it's a lot of going into the character building and a lot less of the actual plot, because this does end on a cliffhanger that then you're gonna get more of the plot in the third book, and I don't feel the need to pick up the third book because I feel like everything that happened in this is going to be easy to remember going into the third book. I have to pick up the third book in this trilogy sometime by the end of the year because these were part of my 1 to 10 TBR tag that I wanted to read down my physical TBR for. So I will be getting to the third book in this series. So I have moved on to my next book, which is Daughter of Crows. I started this yesterday morning-ish because having the audiobook also made it easy to pick up right away. And as you can tell, I am enjoying it because I am currently I am on chapter 17, 122 in my version of this book. So I obviously got pretty far in a day, and so this is one of those fantasy books that drops you into it and you have to figure it out. And I personally really enjoy those types of books. This one there's necromancy involved and it's very dark, and there's a lot of people dying, there's a lot of people getting hurt. So, this is one of those books that is not going to explain things to you, and you have to go into it knowing you're not going to understand everything right away. And I feel like this was also a thing with the library trilogy. I have only read the first book of that one and I did enjoy it. I just never continued. I never picked it up and finished the series. That was one that first book I could not pick it up on audiobook because there's too much going on that listening to it was not a good way for me to soak in all the information that I needed to for that fantasy world. And I remember this book too because I posted a review on my Bookstagram or a picture of it or something with Jaina, and he commented on it, I think, or liked it or something. So I remember that. If I can find that Bookstagram image, I'll put it on the screen. But I just remember thinking it was cool that I had barely started my Bookstagram and I still don't have very many followers on there, but the fact that he takes the time to like look at the stuff about his book is kind of cool. Anyway, back to Daughter of Crows. I am really enjoying it. It's very dark. I haven't read his like Holy Nun Assassin books, but I feel like there could be some crossover type of feeling with that. I don't know. So if you are one of those people that maybe have read both now, I probably will finish that one up rather quickly because I'm already, a third since I'm over 100 pages in and really enjoying that and can pick that up on audiobook. It's one of those audiobooks that it's not like the library one for me where I feel like I'm missing information. It's one of those that I can understand and follow okay. And I'm getting to the point where things are starting to connect. And so I really want to see where this goes because I feel like we're not getting all the information yet. And I feel like there's pieces that I Yes. Now you're gonna join me? Okay, I was about to be done with this clip. You can't even see her. See her? Wait. There, now you're in the frame. Anyway, so I'm yeah, what? So that's where I am in Daughter of Crows, and I will continue that book.
And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. Then it's your chance to be ruthless.
I have finished Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. I continue to enjoy it, and there's a lot of piecing things together that you're given little puzzle pieces along the way to figure things out for yourself, the connections with things. I don't want to spoil it because it's definitely the main point of this whole book with the characters in it, and it's one of those books that I definitely already want to reread to pick up on things I figured out later, to then look back at the beginning for those things. So that is the main thing that I enjoyed about this book. It almost could have been I know it's a series, but it almost could have been a standalone in itself. It does end on a cliffhanger, so there's definitely somewhere to go off of for the series to continue, but I think the writing mechanism, plot mechanism used in how this specific book was told can't really be repeated again. And so even though I found the mythology magic system involved in this book was interesting and I like it, I don't know how much I will like book 2 because the reasons I liked this first book can't be reused to tell the second book. unless we're gonna follow someone completely different for the second book, which could happen. I can see someone else that we could follow in that second book that could use the same writing style that we had in this book, but I don't know. So I did stamp this one with my stamp. I didn't say this at the beginning of this whole vlog, but I have a library stamp for my books, and I stamp my books when I know I'm keeping them and I'm not going to resell them or donate them. So I basically mark my books. So I'm going to ink it or unhaul it. I have inked my first book. I can possibly be inking this one. I did not ink yet because it being a trilogy. If I end up selling it, I'm gonna sell the complete trilogy to whoever wants it or donate the 3 books. So I didn't want to mark it up yet. I'm hoping I have no excuse not to stamp all 3 once I get to that final book. For now, I am moving on to After the Fall. This is my final book of this vlog, and it's supposed to be like almost a humorous sci-fi, and I will let you know what I think.
They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Check in for After the Fall. I am on chapter 16, about 60%. I am listening to the audiobook mostly for this, and I thought I would tell you kind of what this book is, because I've kind of gotten a little bit farther than what this synopsis for this says. Basically, it doesn't specifically say it was Earth that these aliens took over, but the Greys are the group of aliens who have taken over this planet, which we can only assume is Earth, have basically enslaved humans in a way, but they treat them as pets and as property. So Martok is the gray alien in charge of John, which is our main character for this book, and Martok actually treats John as more of a companion or a pet or something that he shows affection to, rather than the other humans of this society. And Martok is kind of the nerd of this society of aliens, where he's kind of, if you equate this to human society, is kind of like the lone wolf, that the weird kid at school that nobody really talks to because he just acts weird and not like anyone else. So Martok is kind of a goofy, silly, not your average gray alien. And John also has helped him a lot in their earlier beginning years of his contract bond, and they kind of just form this friendship almost, even though John is clearly property in this society. And this is basically almost like a sitcom of their relationship and how Martok gets into this weird negotiation that wasn't really a good negotiation to be in, and just different things that John also runs into to try to help Martok in this situation, because part of this deal that Martok made, if he doesn't pay back this deal, then the bond or the contract that he has for John goes to this other alien that he made this deal with. So John is very invested in making sure he stays with Martok and getting this deal paid back by the 90-day contract agreement that was made. And so you'd think with some of the topics this brings up that it would be more serious, but this is a comedy, a more humorous take on this. So far, I think it's a fun way to explore this kind of alien invasion and what happens when aliens take over. I am really enjoying where this is going. It's silly and fun, even though we're talking about basically humans being enslaved and treated like animals. I'm really enjoying it, and the audiobook is pretty good, so I'm gonna keep continuing to read this, and I will let you know my final thoughts. So I have finished After the Fall. I did enjoy it. However, I'm not gonna stamp it quite yet or ink it quite yet, because I do want to give myself some time to think about whether I'm gonna keep it on my shelves. I liked it enough that I'm gonna keep it in my library, or if it's one that I would feel fine never rereading and passing off to someone else. I think you could get even more out of a reread with this one, so that's why I'm leaving it up to, if this book somehow doesn't leave my brain and I think back to it and I want to pick it up again, because this does, it leaves enough open for the reader to get their own image or their own idea of things. For example, the Greys, the aliens of this book, are just kind of described as big and they have tusks, and there's a thing called they can absent, which isn't fully explained, but you can kind of understand what absenting means, but also it leaves it up to some interpretation by you. And there's just a lot of that kind of thing. Like, we don't know if this is actually Earth. It could really be any planet. We don't ever get the answers to what the truth of what the fall was and what these Greys were saying they were trying to protect the humans from, and their history, their telling of history, and everything that John learned as a child. So we don't get to actually know in depth how the history of what happened. We just know the here and now of what's happening. And I also said in the clips before that this was borderline sitcom comedy, and we went from that to slowly there was more of a discussion of humanity and the political structure that is going on in this current state of this planet. And so it does kind of do this twist in a way that you go in thinking this is going to be just a goofy comedy the entire time, and I feel like it does a good switch of taking on more of a serious tone, but still in that light-hearted way of exploring it. So that would be why I could see myself picking this up as a reread again, and to explore those ideas again. And it leaves it open to also, on a reread, you could get a completely different image in your head of the things that it left open. So it would be actually kind of interesting to maybe read 2 to 3 years later to remember some things, but then also get this whole new experience with this book. So I might eventually unhaul this, but I think it'll take a few years if I finally decide I want to. So that's why I'm not stamping it with my stamp and my name yet, because if I sell it, I obviously don't want to have it marked. I also did read this mostly on audiobook, and I think the experience would also be different to read it with my eyes, because like I said, the audiobook was good, but after a while I kind of got tired of the way the narrator did female voices. So if you're that type of person that sometimes you can't handle a male doing female voices, this may not be the audiobook for you, because it started getting irritating for me for the specific character that he did, and it kind of gave that wrong perception of the character, just because the voice he did for her was not, like, it doesn't really match I think what she should be, but that's my personal opinion. Definitely a good read to pick up. I have not read Mickey 17 or 7. I think the movie's 17, but the book is 7. By this author, Edward Ashton. So I might pick up Mickey 7. So I think we had a mostly successful ink it or unhaul it with Libby choosing what I read for this vlog. Like I said, I can't stamp this one yet. It had a middle book syndrome, but once I get to the final book in this trilogy, I can decide to stamp it later. I already stamped Daughter of Crows, and After the Fall is a maybe, but it's leaning more towards inking it. So I would say that Libby chose some good reads for this vlog. Are you gonna, what you got to say? Can I help you? So I plan on doing this as a series, so if you have any ideas for how I should choose my next books on my physical TBR, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this vlog video, please leave a like, and also if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. because I want to see everyone in my next video.
They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out.